So KD got traded. This feels like a straight up win for the Rockets. They definitely got better while the Suns, I feel like, got a little worse. From the Suns side, they kind of had to do it. KD asked out, and they were clearly trying to honor where he wanted to go. It's not like they could just shop him to every team. He gave them a short list of where he wanted to go. So, based on what I've seen, the Spurs didn't even really make an offer, and Miami's offer wasn't nearly as good. I think Houston gave them the best combo of assets and some flexibility. And then the number 10 pick in the draft, that's not nothing. That's actually a legit pick for Phoenix. And then you throw in Jalen Green, who, yeah, has been inconsistent, but he's still super young. And then Dylan Brooks, who brings defense and some shooting, 3 and D. And then the 5 second rounders, whatever. They're more about flexibility than actual star value, but they help. It's going to come down to what they do with Bradley Beal here. I don't see him staying here. I think they'll try to flip him for something that fits better next to Booker, Green, and assuming Dylan Brooks starts, and then whoever they take at 10, because they're so guard heavy right now. You can't have Jalen Green, Bradley Beal, and Devin Booker all in the starting lineup. Feels kind of redundant. And if they can do that, do it right. That's cool. But as of right now, I'm not really sure they even make the playoffs. It depends a lot on how the roster shakes out by the time the season starts. So, and then that number 10 pick, though, they could go in a few different directions. From the mock drafts I've seen, and I'm sorry if I botched their names, but Kaman Malak, he's a big 7-footer from Duke. I saw him a little bit in the tournament. Rim protector type player. And then there's Igor Demons, another interesting one. I haven't really seen him play, but he's a 6'9" point forward from BYU who can really move the ball. So there's something. And then there's Colin Murray Boyles is a name that I see popping up around that pick too. So he's more of a gritty two-way wing, which kind of fits next to Booker. And if I'm Phoenix, I'm going after size, defense, and someone who doesn't need 20 shots to make an impact. Now flipping back to Houston, adding Durant is huge. He's 36, but he's still averaging basically 27 a game. He was averaging 26.6 this past season. So, and he played in 62 games, so he stayed relatively healthy. And that's actually the healthiest he's been in a while. Obviously you worry about age and injuries, but if he stays healthy, that's a top tier scorer and one of the best, plug and play stars in the league. He can do anything on offense. Really anything you ask. And I really like the fit with Ime Udoka. KD's game is so easy to slot in, like I said before, and he doesn't need the ball the whole time. He can shoot space the floor, still get buckets at all three levels. He's going to work in Houston's offense with no issue, and I trust Ime Udoka to get him right. And then I think the starting lineup looks something like Van Fleet, Amen Thompson, KD, Jabari Smith, and Şengün, and they still got Steven Adams too. So they've got some options. And that's a good mix of vets and young dudes with playoff experience, or at least, playoff type energy. And it's also worth pointing out Houston didn't give up Amen or Şengün. That was huge. They kept their best young guys and still landed Kevin Durant. And, that's pretty crazy. They were able to pull that off. And for the people, I don't think there's anyone saying they overpaid, but I definitely don't think they overpaid. Losing Dylan Brooks stings a bit defensively, but Ime's built a defensive culture there, and Brooks helped with that, but that mindset isn't going away just because he's gone. And Brooks will help Phoenix. He's a 3-and-D guy, plays hard, gets under your skin. Teams need that, especially with a guy like Booker leading the offense. You need a little edge. Also, KD just makes Houston a more attractive spot for free agents. Like, if you're a mid-level vet trying to win, you're looking at that roster right now and thinking, I could definitely fit there. And then contract-wise, KD's locked in for one more year. He's got that $54 million on the books for the 25-26 season, and then he can sign an extension. if if he's eligible this summer, that'd be interesting. I feel like he would probably sign an extension. Um, but if not, then I think it depends on how this season goes. If they make a run, he probably stays. If it crashes and burns, then obviously that's an interesting conversation to have. But if he stays healthy, I really don't see how this team isn't at least a top three team in the West. OKC is going to be tough. Obviously, Denver's still legit. Um, Maybe the Lakers or Warriors, depending on how both their rosters look come the start of the season. But Houston's definitely right up there at the top. And they went 52-30 last season, and they added KD to pretty much that same roster without giving up a ton of their young core. So that's a serious contender. Only real risk here is injury. KD's 36. That's definitely a real problem. But if he's on the court, this Rockets team is definitely a problem.